Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about how I finally listened to the Amity Afflictions brand new album, Not Without My Ghosts. I've heard of Amity Affliction before, I've listened to a couple of their singles before. They've always been one of those bands where I haven't fully invested. A couple of their songs I've always liked. Drag the Lake has always been like, it's just one of those songs that always comes on all the time and you always think like, this is a good song. I should really check the band out a little bit more. Going into this album very I had no sense of what it should be or what it shouldn't be. I was going in completely blind. Straight from the off, Show Me Your God. It must have been a single because I definitely believe I've heard that before. Then followed on with It's Held Down Here, which once again, I feel like I listened to. It might have not have been a single. Maybe it was when the actual album came out and all the songs got released into the Spotify playlists and the shuffles and all of that. And before I even thought of doing this kind of album review. Maybe that's why I've got a sense of understanding and what's the word? Familiarization, as I've already said. So that was really cool. And then one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have had with this album, apparently, is it's very similar. Every single song seems quite similar. Now, at some point, I'm going to agree, but I'm not going to agree that it's a problem. I quite like albums that kind of follow a theme or not too different. I feel like sometimes you can get albums which kind of hit different demographics or different genres just to kind of say they're part of that genre. Well, I feel like this album is just very close-knit. It's all the same stuff. My best example here, it's a little bit of a different band, but Beartooth, their album Below, I felt like quite a lot of them songs were quite similar. Yeah, you had your standout ones here and there. They also kind of worked well as a unit together. I don't really see that as a massive problem with Not Without My Ghosts. I actually quite like that you can listen to it all the way through, or you can shuffle it all together, or they can come out of the woodwork every now and then in a different playlist. You just identify it and go, you know what, this was off of that really good album. So that's not a problem for me. I will also say one thing. I actually really rate the album cover. When they actually started bringing out singles and I See Dead People came out, everyone was going, oh my God, they're so going to be heavy. This is going to be a really heavy album. And then you see the flipping cover photo, someone screaming in a fucking lake with hands around her face. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be quite heavy. This is going to be quite brutal. The album cover definitely gives off an impression that it's a lot scarier, heavier, more brutal than the actual album is. I'm not going to just say I See Dead People is the only heavy song on the album. That's not true. Show Me Your God, right at the start, it's quite intense. I will say that When It Rains It Pours starts off quite heavy as well. So if they've never gone that heavy before because people were making out that they hadn't, then I kind of feel like it is a very good balance. They haven't just kind of made a completely different album to where they've come from. They've got heavier elements in it, but at the same time, it's not just one-off song and then the rest of it just sounds all the same and quite mid or anything like that. Another good example, which I've been thinking about a lot recently, is the Bad Omens, The Death of Peace of Mind album. Now, they released Artificial Suicide and it was brutal. I really liked it. It gave me the old, Bad Omens vibes. And I thought, wow, we're going to get a really heavy album here. When you listen to The Death of Peace of Mind, as much as it's a really good album, it's not what I expected. So maybe a lot of people saw that there with the whole I See Dead People bit, but I actually quite liked it. Now, I will say that this is probably one of the shortest albums I've recently listened to. I was going through it and I was listening to it and I was like, okay, this is good, that song's good, that song's good, I can listen to this, no skips. They all just kind of blend into one, they all just kind of merge and you can just listen to it all the way through, as I've said. And then we got to a really nice calming song and I thought, okay, well this is still a little bit different. This isn't the same as all the other ones that we've just listened to. This is a nice change. I thought to myself, I think this is a really well-placed song in this album because I think we needed a bit of a break from all the other stuff that we've already listened to. Once thinking that and listening to the song, I'm pretty sure it was either the last song or the second last song, and then the album was over. And I was kind of a bit, oh, okay. I mean, the album's got 10 songs on it. I mean, they're all about, 3 minute, 3.5 minute, 4 minutes long. Of the last couple of albums I've listened to, what was it? Obviously, Sleep Tokens album, loads of songs, very long, definitely over an hour. I think Current Song was definitely over an hour. Invent Animate, maybe not over an hour. I don't know, I just feel like 38 minutes is a very short time. Now, you can kind of see that as a bit of a con, you can kind of see that as a bit of a negative, but then when you really deep it, you got to think, you're seeing it as a negative because you want more of it. If the album was absolutely awful and you hated it, the last thing you're going to want to do is listen to it more, aren't you? They did have some standout songs like Show Me Your God, It's Held Down Here, I See Dead People, When It Rains It Pours. that calm one at the end, which I can't remember what it's called. But you know, I mean, I've named 5 songs. I've named 5 songs and there's only 10 songs on the album. So 50% of them, straight away, you can say are really good. The other 5, maybe they're like more filler songs, I don't know, but I have been listening to this album a lot and you know, I've enjoyed it. Comparing it to the last album review I did with Avenged Sevenfold, that was an album which I think I rated like a 6.5 to 6 to 7.5 out of 10. I would say this one is definitely an album that I'm more pulled to than the Avenged Sevenfold one. I think, as I said, because I haven't really listened to the Amity Affliction before, I think a lot of people know a lot more than I do, and they're going to know where they would kind of rank it in like the albums and, you know, their expectations of it. When as I said, I've come in blind, so I have no idea. I can see why some people might have been disappointed in this album to an extent. I'm not one of those people. If you are, totally get it. You probably know a lot more than I do, as I've said. But for me, I quite like it. If this is the album that kind of gets me into Amity Affliction, then I go back, listen to the rest of the discography. That's a win in my books. I just wanted to make a quick video on it. I've listened to this album like 3 or 4 times in the last like week, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. No, it's not going to be the album of the year for me or anything close to that. But I would just say it's a nice, solid album. And for someone who's just getting into it, you can't go wrong with that. Let me know what you thought about this album down below. Hope you're enjoying these kind of just chatting album reviews. Like I don't want to go into it too much, but yes, let me know what you thought about this down below. Thank you very much for watching the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you later. Chatting album reviews. Like I don't want to go into it too much, but I don't want to just come into it and just go, yeah, I really liked it, it's really good. So I don't know.